So which is it? Are millennials working hard or hardly working? A new report by Merrill Edge shows that most are not planning to retire at all. 83% of millennials plan to work during their retirement, whether to generate income, keep busy, or pursue their passions. Joining us right now is the head of Merrill Edge, Aron Levine, along with our millennial panel. Caroline Ghosn back with us. She's the CEO of Levo, and Christi Kunzig, attorney and radio host. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Aron, 83% is a big number.
Yep.
Give us the scoop.
Yeah, so remember last time I was on, thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
We talked about the millennials especially were very fearful of saving for retirement. I think this report goes one step further, and it says that frankly they're not going to retire in terms of they're going to keep working. Could be for a lot of reasons, but they're going to keep working. And so I think that whole definition of retirement has to be rethought. It's almost obsolete in terms of how we know it as a Gen Xer, as a boomer.
Yeah, Caroline, you're right there. Give us the facts, because at one point we told you that we thought millennials weren't really working at all and they were lazy, and now this.
Which is it? So we founded the Levo Institute to begin to dispel myths around millennials using the proprietary data from our database, and this is a big issue. So basically, the long story short of it is that millennials are saddled with student loan debt, and then they're delaying all of these life milestones, such as marriage and buying a house, both of which are very expensive. And retirement is lower on the priority list and seems like this distant, elusive thing that they're not really going to get to. So I completely agree with the results of the report.
And what about you, Christi?
I agree with Caroline. I think that student debt is a big part of it, but I think it goes a step further than that. We're not expecting Social Security to really be there for us, so we're thinking ahead. We're thinking, okay, when I actually want to retire, I'm not actually going to retire, but here's something I'd like to do. This is what I'm passionate about, and that's how I'm going to continue living after. And especially if you think about Social Security, when it was enacted, the median age was about 62, so you retire at 65. It wasn't something that you're supposed to live an extra 20 years on, and that's what we're doing now. It hasn't really caught up to us.
And it's also, I mean, there's not necessarily the loyalty of staying in a job 20 years. You know, you're not working as a millennial to get that gold watch someday, right? So it's not that, but you may work in different jobs.
Right.
Is that right?
If you look at millennials, a lot of time after a year they change jobs, and if they don't change the actual type of work that they're doing, they might just change firm. But they move around a lot because they want to find something that they're passionate about, that they love doing, and that changes over time too.
Oh, that sounds a lot like other generations too. But the study also found that millennials are 3 times more likely than Generation X or baby boomers to value retirement plans as a priority when applying for a job. Now, this is interesting because I always advise younger generations, like when you get that job and they have a 401k, make sure you get the 401k. Get that match, because that's free money. But this study shows that maybe they don't necessarily care about that, Aron.
No, I think they absolutely, I think what's great about the millennial generation, they are deeply passionate about what they do today, and they also are thinking long term. And I think their challenge is the prioritization. And I've got student debt, I want to save for my current lifestyle, how do I deal with that? So they are taking advantage of 401ks, and they actually want to do it themselves more and more.
But it's sort of a changing of the traditional retirement, Caroline.
Absolutely. So I completely agree. There's a life stage issue here. Millennials are still in the first 10 to 15 years of their career, so they're trying to knock out their issues one by one, and retirement just isn't the top priority right now. That being said, I think there's a lot of financial education that we need to continue to provide to millennials, and at the Levo Institute we've been talking about this as well. You know, how do you roll out campaigns to better understand money? Yes, maybe money is the new meaning for millennials, which is a whole other conversation, but that doesn't mean money is not important and that we don't need to understand it. And so there's a very vibrant discussion happening right now around this.
That's a good point. How do you appeal and market to millennials?
Yeah, I think education is critical. So the fact is, millennials want to receive that education through mobile phones and online, not necessarily through an advisor. Although the good news is they actually want both. At some point they're saying, hey, I want to get as much education and research about the financial investment community online, but I would talk to an advisor. So we at Merrill Lynch and Merrill Edge have to provide both. We got to provide great mobile and online capabilities and still have advisors that people can talk to at some point.
That's interesting, because you're not necessarily counting on them having a lot of money. I mean, you're talking about a generation that just graduated and is in the early stages of the career. So they don't have money to invest necessarily, right?
They have some, and they'll grow over time. But for us, Merrill Edge is part of Bank of America, and so we want to help them with their entire financial picture. Investments, banking.
Sure. You want to get them when they're young so that you can sell them mortgages and credit cards and the whole 9 yards. All right, so the survey also found that many people, not just millennials, by the way, are not able to state definitively how much money they actually need for retirement. Nearly 1 in 5 of those surveyed said that they just don't know the exact amount. What about that, Aron? That's a scary statistic.
Again, I think it goes back to where their mind's focused on right now is the near term and this idea of how much money I'll need and at what point in time. If there's no date certain and then there's no, well, I need this nest egg at the age of 62. It's I'm going to keep working and at some point I need to finance my lifestyle, so I'm not even sure how much that means because I don't know where I'll be in 30 years.
Well, educate us. How much money do we need to retire? Because we all want to know.
Oh, I wish I knew. I think everyone's different. And I think what this survey says is you may need one number, they may need another.
So it's about your lifestyle
it's a personal
and
lifestyle choice.
What you expect.
Absolutely. Some want to give more money away in their later years. Some want to actually spend more. Some want to have a life of leisure. Some want to keep working. I think we're past this sort of, there's a number. It's a lifestyle, and how do I finance that lifestyle?
Final word on this.
I completely agree with Aron. I think that's really hitting the nail on the head. Right now we're focused on student debt and paying that back. And then we're not planning on retiring, so we don't really need to come up with this finite number of how much we're going to need to save up for that.
All right, we will leave it there. Aron Levine, Caroline Ghosn, Christi Kunzig, good to see you all.
Thank you
so much.